Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started. So if you will have a seat, we'll crank it up. My name's Carl Stauber. I'm President and CEO of the Danville Regional Foundation. On behalf of the foundation, thank you for coming to Danville. For those of you this is your first time, thank you for coming the first time. For those of you that are coming back, thank you for coming back. Three things I want to do quickly. First off, today is Veterans Day. Once it was Armistice Day. If you're a veteran, thank you for your service to our country. Secondly, the reason DRF does this is because we believe very strongly that communities like ours and like many of yours, all too often we get left out of the conversation. And we decided to kind of try and create our own conversation. We think that there's a huge amount to learn from each other. We're big believers in going to see the possible. So every other year we take our board someplace to see the possible. This is for us another investment in seeing the possible so that we can learn from you and you will have a broader network to learn from each other. So join us for these 2 days in sharing your experiences, your opportunities, and your challenges. Ted will take us further into that in just a minute. And then finally, a couple of people have said, what is this place we're in? This is the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. Many of us are in communities that will never have a research university. If we could have talked to UVA or Virginia Tech or Old Dominion into creating a branch campus here, we would have. Of course, our closest research universities, it's one of those ironies of borders, our closest research universities are all in North Carolina, being 60 miles from Chapel Hill and 80 miles from Raleigh, and I won't mention that other institution that's down there, that has a basketball team and you've probably heard of, and those types of things. But this is an effort, about 20 years ago, a group of leaders, long before I was ever on the scene, a group of leaders in this community foresaw the demise of our largest employer, Dan River Mills. And at one point, Dan River Mills provided 25% of the direct employment in this community. So we were a mill town. Today we're a mill town without a mill. And part of what we're doing is we're trying to create simultaneously a new culture and a new economy. And this place, the Institute for Advanced Learning, is part of that attempt to create a new culture and a new economy. If you want to learn a lot more about the Institute, Dr. Julie Brown is here. She is the Director of Advanced Learning here at the Institute, and she can provide you with all kinds of background information. But we're trying to get many of the benefits of a world-class training, learning, research facility without the expense and creating the bubble of another university. There are all kinds of great things that are going on in this complex. Many of them tie back to this creating a new economy and creating a new culture effort. So I'm very excited about today and tomorrow's conversation and schedule. And to lead us through that, I'd like to introduce our friend and colleague, Ted Abernathy. Ted?
Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's nice to be here again. How many people were here last year with us with the inaugural one? About half the room is what we were hoping for, and that works out just about right. You're in an invitation-only event. Here's the plan. We started last year with the idea that if we could put about half community people in a room with thought leaders, foundation, people who think all day about these issues, and put you in a setting that allowed the time to interact, push boundaries, dig deeper, that it would be good for everybody. That's what we tried to do. And last year, for those of you who were here, we had about 10 communities. So we have, I think, 9 this year, and we tried to push that. If you're not in the communities today, last year we called you all thought leaders. And some of you told us that you don't want to be called thought leaders, so we didn't write thought leaders on a bunch of stuff today, but you're still thought leaders, so just take it for what it's worth. We learned a couple lessons last year. People told us that we needed to build more time for conversation in. Now, last year we had this goal of half the time would just be conversations, because we all go to these things, and there was a little survey at the end. Everybody says, "What's the most important thing you had?" And it's time to talk to each other. I said, okay, we learned that. So this year you'll notice there's lots of time for you to interact between each other. Interact as groups. You're going to do some work at tables. You're going to have time to sit where you want. If you're a thought leader in the room, you're going to have time to both tell us what you're hearing out with your research and your work, and also to share with others. We're going to have a Twitter feed today. It's HoFT2 is the hashtag. It's Home of Future Thinking 2. Some of you have been following us already. But this is a day that we're going to push in a topic that you decided on last year. We asked at the end of the year last year, what's the topic? And with our work, we could have told you that. It's workforce and workforce and workforce again, and we'll talk about that as we get started. But the other thing we learned last year is we didn't take the time at the beginning last year to have everybody introduce themselves. We thought you'd all, we did it on purpose. We said, if we don't introduce everybody, they have to introduce themselves to everybody, and that'll be, program design, too smart or stupid, as the case may be. So Sarah is going to take a microphone, because we're trying to pick all this up. For everybody here we videotape all of this. We put everything on the web so you can see everything again, and we make sure that there's a good document of it. So Sarah, this one's up in this corner up here. We're going to go around the room. We've got some time built in. Who are you? Anything you want to say about your organization, and any thought you might have on the challenge of workforce as you're dealing with it. And I don't want the long version. We'll have plenty of time for the long version, but the short version of what it is that's challenging. And Sarah, if we can go on this corner and just get everybody to stand up, wave to each other, and tell us who you are, so everybody in the room knows who's there. And I promise this was the top thing on the Ted, you did this wrong last year list, so I'm going to fix it right off the top. So, get start. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, y'all. I'm Jennifer Gregory, native of North Carolina, so happy to see some fellow North Carolinians in the room today, but currently representing Danville, Pittsylvania County and Caswell County with an organization called Middle Border Forward. We're a nonprofit community development organization dedicated to the development of meaningful community engagement and effective grassroots and grasstops leadership. Thank you.
Everybody hear that?
Did you?
Pull it up a little bit. Yes, pull it up just a tiny bit there.
Check.
Yeah.
Check.
It's fine. Just talk down into it.
All right. We're moving the microphone.
We're moving the microphone because we got all sorts of mics put to the microphone.
My name is Martha Atherholt. I'm here with the Allegheny Foundation in the Allegheny Highlands of Virginia. I myself, besides being a board member there, am a business owner, and so my interest in workforce development is from the hiring side of what we do there. So I'm curious to hear what others are doing in small towns with regards to finding employees in the retail sector. So.
Good morning. I'm Marla Akridge. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Allegheny Highlands in Allegheny County, Virginia. And I would say creating that workforce for the future when the jobs don't exist, we have an unmanned systems initiative, and we're already challenged by trying to find Section 107 pilots that are qualified. But also the issue with opioids is everywhere nationwide, and how we address that and get those people back into employment.
Good morning. I'm Matt McGraw. I'm the Associate Vice President of Institutional Effectiveness and Academic Services at Dabney Lancaster Community College. We're up in the Allegheny Highlands of Virginia. I've been in this role for about 2 years, but prior to this, I was the Director of Student Services for 8 years. I worked in admissions and housing and residence life. A lot of time working with students in transfer-oriented programs and in programs that lead directly to employment. This is my first time at an event like this one, so I'm grateful for the invitation and happy to be here today. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm John Molinaro. I'm president of the Appalachian Partnership, which is serves 32 Appalachian counties in Ohio, multi-purpose economic development organization. Been involved in rural workforce development since about 1992, when I began an initiative to address workforce shortages in western Minnesota, and wrote the framing paper for the National Fund for Workforce Solutions when it added a rural component to its work.
Good morning. My name is Katrina Keith. I am the mayor of the city of Ironton. We are about 11,000 strong. Small community, used to be manufacturing, very heavy. We know that that is limited now in our area, so we are trying to re-identify ourselves, rebrand ourselves, and see what direction that we're wanting to go. First term mayor, so learning a lot and expect to learn a lot from you guys, so thank you.
Good morning. My name is David Ferris. I'm from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. For those of you who don't know where Rocky Mount is, we're closer to the Atlantic Ocean than the mountains. It's just a coincidence. Anyway, I am president and CEO of our Chamber of Commerce, and we are trying to reinvent ourselves as well. One of our key challenges, among obviously along with the drug situation that we have challenges with in the country, is employment. We're trying to address that. We have a critical need now over the next 12 months of at least 3,000 trained people for advanced manufacturing, and that's a real challenge, and over the next 3 years the number is likely to be close to 10,000 as we do things. So we're here, we're delighted to be here to try and figure it out. Thank you.
How about y'all?
Good morning. I'm Chuck Shootman with the University of Tennessee's Institute for Public Service. It's my good fortune to work with government leaders and existing industry, law enforcement professionals across the state of Tennessee to try to help improve the lives and the quality of lives for the people living in our state. In terms of workforce development, I've had the good fortune to work with a range of issues on this, and we'll hear about a range from the impacts of drug abuse and opioid epidemics to finding qualified workers in advanced manufacturing to how do you find welders and healthcare professionals that meet the needs of the day. And I would say one challenge that I would like to hear your input on is how we move away from the blame game as to whose fault it is that people don't have the skills we need, whether it's the K through 12 system or higher ed or the employers who aren't investing enough in their workforce, to what actions are needed to get us where we want to go.
Hi, I'm Liz Peters. I'm with Rivermont Capital, based in Durham, North Carolina. We're a private developer that works with local governments to master plan their communities. And we take a systemic approach. It's not just real estate development, it's also workforce and related issues. Aside from that, I have a personal and professional interest in opportunity zones. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Christy Raleigh. I'm with Watershed Ventures. Watershed Ventures is a real estate fund management company. We're investing in real estate in the River District in Danville. My personal interest in workforce development is getting more women and minorities into real estate.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Linger Hall. I'm with the Institute for Emerging Issues at NC State University. We're a nonpartisan public policy organization focused on the state's long-term economic competitiveness. And like Chuck, we've worked on a variety of topics related to workforce over the years, and I would say the two that we have been focusing on most recently is early childhood investment, as well as barriers to labor force participation.
I'm Carl Sauber. I'm president and CEO of the Danville Regional Foundation. And my real kind of challenge in the workforce space is in a community with a very high low-income population. How do we build successful pipelines that go from poverty to living wage jobs and do it quick enough that people see the possible?
So welcome to Southern Virginia. My name is Julie Brown. I'm the Director of Advanced Learning here at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. Our mission here is economic transformation, which can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. I lean, again, towards talent development strategies. I would say the one thing that I would love to hear your input on is public-private partnerships and how we really build systems that develop employer engagement and helping us solve the workforce and talent development challenges.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Freeman. I work with Fort Smith Public Schools in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and there's a team of us here. You'll learn about our economic initiatives later today. My role in the school district is to work directly with our students, so my goal is to always have the right conversations with them, so that's why I'm here.
Good morning. My name is Jenny McDonald, and I'm the Director of Secondary Education, which includes career and technical education for Fort Smith Public Schools. I have the opportunity to work with principals and programs in grades 7 through 12, and also to work with our higher education institutions and our business and industry partners.
Hi, I'm Amanda Sodensall. I'm Director of our Regional Workforce Programs at the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith. And in my role, I have the opportunity to work with our K-12 partners, our industry partners, and helping to build a pipeline for our students as they move and become ready to move into the workforce.
Good morning. My name is Marty Mahan. I'm Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and Campus Support, Fort Smith School District. And one of the things that we have a vision to do that's a collaborative vision in our community is create high school graduates that are career ready or college ready, but also address the career needs, the workforce needs in our community and also a global community, but also address the expenses of college and students graduating college with a lot of debt. So we might have students that have an option with a career right out of high school that pays their way through college if they continue, or just a career that serves the need of our workforce in our community.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Anita Brown-Graham. I'm with the NC Impact Initiative at UNC Chapel Hill in the School of Government. With respect to workforce, I've been working for the past few months with the My Future NC Commission, which is a statewide commission looking to increase the number of people in North Carolina with post-secondary credentials, and at the same time working with a number of local collaboratives that are trying to do that at the ground level also. So it's been fun to think about it from the top down and also from the bottoms up. Lots of good work happening. Clark.
Good morning. I'm Clark Castile. I'm the Vice President of Programs here at DRF. You've gotten a lot of emails from me for this event, and I hope they weren't too overwhelming. Related to workforce development, I'll just mention I've been in Danville for 10 years. Before that, I was a Workforce Investment Board Director for 27 counties in Northeast Mississippi. So I've been involved in these conversations a long time, and here's my one pitch to you. There are no silver bullets. There may be some silver buckshot if we're lucky, and we'll find little things that work, but there are no silver bullets to this work.
Hi, I'm Carly Abernathy. You've probably also got a lot of emails from me. I am the project manager for economic leadership as well as an event planner. So if you have any questions or need anything, I'll be in the back of the room ready to answer.
Good morning. My name is Dan Gerlach. I serve as president of the Golden Leaf Foundation, headquartered in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. We are funded with some of the proceeds from the cigarette manufacturing settlement agreement, and we try to help transform the economies of rural, tobacco-dependent, economically distressed areas of North Carolina. Our workforce goals are to help, as Anita and several other colleagues talked about earlier, how do we get increased post-secondary credentials by getting the K-12 community college and university systems to work more in a more seamless fashion. But I also think what's important is to reach into trusted organizations within the community to help get our labor force participation rate up in areas especially where a lot of our rural population is declining. Thank you.
Morning, I'm Jeff Sadler with Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development. I work in the Community Revitalization Office, so we have a lot of work here in Danville that we do, but also across the state, basically focusing on helping create communities that people want to live in and stay in.
Good morning. I'm Jane Henderson, and I run a community development financial institution, or CDFI, in Virginia called Virginia Community Capital. We are interested in collaborative leadership and bringing innovative capital to social enterprises and small businesses in communities throughout Virginia, and also doing work right now in Central Appalachia, trying to attract more capital into the Central Appalachia region through impact investing, trying to kick off and create a $40 million fund with a bunch of funders in the area. So a lot of good things are happening as far as bringing gap financing. My focus here today is to learn more around what are the opportunities once we attract the capital, and so I'll be anxious to talk to you all about your ideas and your visions and what's going on. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Steve Sparks. I'm with the Arkansas Economic Development Commission in Little Rock, Arkansas. And our goal and focus on workforce is understanding the business and industry needs around the state and connecting it with folks who've got a pipeline to fill that need, and understanding what that looks like and how do you translate what we hear to what needs to happen. So we're a connect the dot kind of place.
Hi, good morning. I'm Penny Whiteheart. I work at the Piedmont Triad Partnership. We're a regional economic development agency covering 12 counties. We're directly south of here. Our region has adopted several strategies to connect and strengthen the talent pipeline, and 3 that we're working on right now include raising educational attainment in our region, and we're looking at programs like Navigator or Adult Advisor programs that we see seeming to have an impact in other places. We're also very interested in employer engagement and increasing the number of work-based learning slots, if you will, in our region. And then finally, messaging and public relations around career potential in some of the occupations and industries that you all have mentioned are really looking for workers right now. So I'd love to hear from y'all if you have best practices in those areas, and I'm also particularly interested in metrics in any of those areas.
Good morning. My name is Terry Brawley. I do economic development in Davie County, North Carolina. My job is to grow the local economy. We're out of buildings, we're out of people, we're out of housing, and I think those two are connected. If we're going to get more people, we're going to need more housing to come into those areas, but we probably could hire about 2,000 people today if we had those workers that are out there, much like all of you. So we're here to learn and share with you to see if we all can get better. So thank you.
Hi, my name's Matthew Eddy. I'm the Planning and Development Director for Biddeford, Maine. Don't confuse my accent with a Maine accent. It's not. My daughters are, but not mine. I'm here really to learn a lot of things. We're a bit of a spitting image to Danville. Anybody from Danville, we could talk a lot. But I'm really interested in some of the things that Carl said. You know, our biggest issue is finding workers. We're the youngest community in the state of Maine, and we have a pocket of folks between 17 and 30 that are underemployed, not employed, are having families, and we need to figure out how to reach out and work with them.
My name is Christine Terry. I'm the Vice President of People Services in Fort Smith, Arkansas for the largest employer in Arkansas, or in Fort Smith. It's OK Foods. And we have facilities in 4 other states. All of the facilities that we have are in areas with record low unemployment. In Fort Smith, as well as the other facilities, we're looking at what solutions we can find as far as staffing as well as workforce development.
Good morning. I'm Mary Fant Donnan with the Allegheny Foundation in Covington, Virginia. And I wanted to say, for those of you who've brought up early childhood and lifelong learning, I think Penny was one, I would like to continue that conversation, so I'll flag that for you. The challenge I was going to put forward is this notion of how do we help young people prepare for careers that they can't see in our community? And if anybody's got that buckshot, send it my way, okay? Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Kathleen Marks. I work with Resourceful Communities, which is a program of the Conservation Fund. Our program works primarily in North Carolina rural communities that are economically and socially distressed. A lot of the communities are facing a lot of infrastructure challenges, and we work with a lot of communities that have been traditionally excluded from the pipelines we're talking about, and there's an incredible need and an incredible opportunity to connect those folks with the pipelines, frankly, and the resources that exist. And I'm just going to put a blanket statement out there for hello from Mickey Sager to a lot of folks in the room. She gave me a big mission, so just wanted to pass that along.
Good morning. I'm from the great state of Vermont. That's where the Orton Family Foundation is located, also located in Denver, Colorado. We spend our time and our work helping communities figure out how to best embrace everyone in the community. We call it Involve Everyone, with a program we call Community Heart and Soul. The idea being that if we can deeply engage residents in some conversations, deep conversations with each other as neighbors, work hard at that, help the community identify what matters most to them, the issues then that they figure out they need to tackle together after they've gone through that work, whether it be workforce development or housing development, comes from the core of who they are and what they want to be as a community, and it has the full weight and spirit of the community behind it. We are working across 14 states and 66 different communities. We are with the great good fortune to have as partners the J. Marion Sims Foundation from South Carolina with folks out of Lancaster. Also, we've worked and still do with Biddeford, Maine. We all came here together from the great New England area to learn from you and to learn more about small town development overall. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Kimberly Van Dyke. I'm from Wilson, North Carolina. I am the Planning and Community Revitalization Director, where we do planning, long-range planning, community development, and downtown development. What I'm most interested in is talent retention and attraction, and how you build a community that will attract and retain talent in a rural community. And in addition, I'm interested in healthy communities that facilitate more equity, change the equity scenario in the community, as well as facilitate lifelong learning. So, thank you.
Good morning, my name is Kellyanne Davis, and I'm a downtown developer with the City of Wilson. My role primarily consists of business recruitment, business retention, and property redevelopment. So naturally, with business recruitment and retention, there's a lot of questions about our workforce and specifically the perception of our workforce. So I'd like to tackle that.
Good morning. I'm Denise O'Hara, and I'm the Executive Director from the Healthcare Foundation of Wilson. We are a foundation that actually focuses on health and wellness initiatives in our community. We believe that healthier and individuals who are well and can work will help the workforce in our community. So we're looking at initiatives that can help grow that and fund that through healthy and wellness.
Good morning. I am Paula Benson. I'm the Executive Director of an organization called Wilson Forward in Wilson, North Carolina. We are an organization that is committed to facilitating and supporting cross-sector collaborations that are focused on health and wellness, education, and workforce development. You'll hear a little bit later this afternoon some of the specific initiatives that we have that are not only focused on those who are currently unemployed or underemployed, but also looking at ways that we can build a stronger future workforce by looking at initiatives to support our youth.
Good morning, I'm Ryan Simons. I'm the president of the Wilson Chamber of Commerce. In addition to supporting the work of these community leaders and many others around Wilson, my interest is in an attempt to try to reconcile the fact that our county is consistently among the top 10 in average weekly wage in the state of North Carolina. It's also consistently in the top 10 for the highest unemployment rate in the state of North Carolina. So figuring out a way that we can bridge that divide.
Good morning. I'm Julie Seward. I live in Richmond. I'm currently a consultant. I do a lot of work around community restoration. I'm specifically here, number one, because I grew up in a town of about 20,000 people, or a small city, and I care very much about smaller places. But I'm also here because of work that I've done with Carl and the Funders Network in looking at where the intersections are between equity, economy, and opportunity. I'm delighted to be here.
Hello, I'm Mike Marshall. I'm from the state of Missouri, down in what we call the Boot Hill of Missouri. It's a small town called Sykeston. We say if it's small enough that you can't brag about your family or lie about your age, so that kind of tells you the size of it. We're an agriculture community, and as the farming operations get bigger, the jobs get less because it's more mechanical and scientific. But our problem, and the problem that probably some of y'all have, is we send our kids off to wonderful universities in the South or in the Midwest, and then they don't come back home. And well, I guess they have to have a reason besides coming home to see their folks. They gotta have opportunities, and we've got to figure out how to have some opportunities in our part of the country, and that's what we're working on. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Greg Payne. I work with Sarah and Ted and Carly at our consulting firm, Economic Leadership. I live an hour south of here in the small city of Mebane, North Carolina. These days I do a ton of research on workforce development issues. And of all the challenges, I guess one that keeps coming up is how do you help underemployed and unemployed and folks who lack a steady employment history to get better skills and have better career prospects?
Hi, I'm Marcy Lawson. I'm the director of the Chamber of Commerce in Sikeston, Missouri, along with Mike, and have really been working on the same things that you guys are working on. I came to the Chamber because I wanted my town to be a place where selfishly my children will want to come back, but they do have to have those opportunities. And so, like you said, linking the young people with knowing what's in our community and what's available for both professionals and those going right into the workforce is really a huge challenge and a passion of mine. I also want to support our local businesses so that they are in a business-friendly community, and we've got a lot of people who are, hitting that retirement age. I'm sure you guys are with the, what do they call it, the silver tsunami as well, and I want to make sure that Sikeston is a place, we could go back and have not only good, nice jobs there, but a little bit of downtown life and nightlife as well. So those are some things that I am working on.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Medley. I'm also with Mike and Marcy with Sikeston, Missouri, and we're excited to learn what programs have worked for you. We really started a program in our high school to educate them on what opportunities are in our town and a reason for them to come back. So thanks for inviting us, and we're excited to learn.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kelly Ano. I'm with the Legacy Foundation in Lake County, Indiana. So we're in the northwest corner of the state and have some of the cities and towns of Gary, Hammond, Crown Point. And so we're kind of connected through the Funders Network, Priorities in the Older Industrial Cities initiatives, looking at how do you kind of bring back jobs and employment and train the workforce to match up to those jobs and employment after some of the industry has left. And so we've also launched through our foundation CDC, and so we're looking at helping to build small businesses, entrepreneurship. Of course, we're always going to be listening anytime here, opportunity zones over the next couple days. So interested in learning more and who's doing what around opportunity zones. So looking forward to it.
Good afternoon. I'm Carolyn Saxton, president of Legacy Foundation. You just heard from Kelly some of the communities that we work with, Gary, East Chicago, Whiting, Hammond, all very small industrial cities and becoming smaller as people move from those communities. We have conducted two recent initiatives. One is Neighborhood Spotlight, where we engage community people to talk about the needs in their particular neighborhoods. Workforce in each one of those 4 neighborhoods, it was a community impact process, identified workforce as one of their main concerns. We also just completed our second year of On the Table, where we had conversations throughout Lake County, 3,000 people engaged in conversations, and during that they talked about the importance of education, the preparedness of students to be able to get a job once they have completed their education. And so we're really interested in learning more that we can take back to Lake County. Thank you.
We have the table in the middle. Good morning. I'm Sherry Gregory from Lancaster, South Carolina. I have a number of colleagues at my table who work together collaboratively on a lot of the problems that have been mentioned this morning. I'm primarily a community volunteer. I wear a few different hats, but I'm going to just take a different tack because most of us are tackling problems, but I'm also part of a family business in Lancaster that's managed to survive for 110 years. And I don't think our company has ever faced the kinds of problems we have now with workforce. Lancaster has a large number of unengaged youth, 16 to 23, who are not in school and they're not working. And they're prime candidates for many of the jobs that we offer at our company, but they're not interested. So I think these workforce challenges, attracting talent back to our community also after our textile collapse is an issue that I'm very interested in. But workforce development, I think, is a real issue for many small businesses in small towns like ours. And so if any of you are interested in the kinds of problems that we see on the front lines, I'd be happy to talk to you about those, but I'm also interested in your solutions. And thank you very much. I'm Pam Temple with the J. Marion Sims Foundation in Lancaster, South Carolina. I think we are in a position now, a lot of things are coming together for us. We are about 50 miles south of Charlotte, North Carolina, so we're seeing that growth come our way, but we also have very rural areas, and so with growth we see that our youth want to transition to bigger and better places, and we want them to come back to our area. We always say secret but not secret is that we are trying to figure out how we can continue to keep the talent in our area, but also look at those disconnected youth and how we can engage them in the workforce development.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cynthia Curtis. I'm delighted to be here. It's my first visit to Danville, so thanks for this opportunity. I work with Pam and with other colleagues here at the table in Lancaster and Chester County, South Carolina. I work with the J. Marion Sims Foundation as a community investment officer, and one of our pillars is the transition to adulthood. In addition, I'm a coach with the Community Heart and Soul program that David Leckie introduced with the Orton Family Foundation. We have a strategic partnership with Orton. I'm coaching in a small town of 2,100 people, Kershaw, South Carolina, and youth engagement is one of the overarching goals. I'm going to take a step back to my own life. Before relocating to South Carolina, I lived in El Salvador for 21 years. I worked with International Cooperation for Development, and the focus that many of us have had and still continue with is how to engage rural youth in a way that they develop, they find their motor, and that they see that they are an economic actor, a social actor, and a political actor. And I say that because I'm interested in that both professionally and personally, looking at the whole young person. Workforce is part of it, but I think the picture is bigger. So I'd love to hear thoughts on that, and also the multi-sector partnerships. How can we align our resources more effectively to enhance workforce and youth engagement? So thanks very much.
Good morning. My name is Penelope Karagunis, and I'm the Lancaster County Planning Director. Lancaster County is experiencing tremendous growth because we're so close to the Charlotte, North Carolina, and the county is very polarized. So I'm very interested to see what communities are doing, both with the urban and rural aspect, to maintain people to stay in the community. I'm also a big advocate for trails and recreational opportunities. I'm a member of the Lindsay Pettis Greenway. We're trying to create this greenway in downtown, the city of Lancaster, and I'm a firm believer of recreational opportunities for rural communities as well.
Morning. I am Flip Hutfliss, the City Administrator for Lancaster, South Carolina. Lancaster is very similar to Danville in the fact we are a mill town without a mill, both figuratively and literally. My interest for workforce development is twofold. One, in order for us to attract industries to pay living wages, I need to have a solid and strong workforce, but also for the city itself. In order for us to continue providing the services that has been expected and is demanded, I need to be able to find quality employees. Thank you.
I'm Dean Fail. I'm President and CEO of the Lancaster County Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with this great group. And the one thing that you'll hear if you have a chance to spend any time with our table, and I encourage you to do that, is we've identified a couple of challenges in our community, and we're working across multiple sectors for it. You know, a number of challenges that we're facing is just like you guys, workforce development. We believe there's really two approaches to that. Meeting that immediate need, you know, those businesses that are having challenges, how do you connect those employers to our schools right now? So we've expanded our internship program, apprenticeship programs from high school and our local college. On that front, we've established externships, which is for our teachers to go out into the workplace to learn how those employers are operating so they can more effectively teach and prepare our students for those jobs. And we also recognize that there's a disconnect between marketing those opportunities with our students and parents for the future jobs that are in Lancaster. So we're working collaboratively with our school district on a publication right now that will be put into hands of our students and parents during their annual IGP, or individual graduation plan. Now, the second phase of this whole effort is how do you sustain it long term, because we recognize there's no silver bullet. So we're going back, and we're going way back upstream. And if anybody wants to hear about my ogre story, I'll be glad to tell it to you offline later on tonight. But you've got to go back upstream. Marla's laughing. She's heard me tell this story. You've got to go upstream, and you've got to identify where the real challenge begins. And it begins actually not in our school system, but it begins at home with our parents' failure to teach our children the life skills that they need to be successful in life. So you can't ignore the fact, and I haven't heard it a single time in here, but I've heard it for 15 to 16 years, and as a former business owner for 17 years, it's the soft skills. It's the lack of soft skills that people bring to the table when they start a job. They don't know how to work well with each other. They don't get along. You're nodding and shaking your head. They just don't understand basic life skills. So you've got to teach those just like you teach sports in the grade level, the K through 6 grade levels. There's some really neat platforms on that. The Leader in Me is one, the Franklin Covey 7 Habits program. We have raised money to put that now in 3 of our schools. The school district is integrating that throughout the district. But then you've also got to figure out ways at the top end to make sure those skills are being applied in the curriculum of the day. And I'm excited to know, and we just had an announcement with our school district looking at this initiative, and they're making, our district will be STEAM-wide. It will be a STEAM district, that not just one school focused on STEAM, but the entire district. And that's going to give our students that opportunity to apply their work and learn those soft skills while they're there. I would be glad to talk for about 3 more hours on this subject. I've spent about 16 years on it, and I'm like Clark. Clark, after we're done, I'd like to get together and start maybe a 12-step recovery group for those of us who have been in workforce for many years.
Hi, I'm Evan Covington Chavez with Rocky Mount Mills. I was late, had a sick kid, I'm sure.
other folks have already talked about what we're doing in Rocky Mount, but we're glad to be here and learn some more from you guys this today and tomorrow.
Oh, you want?
I'm sure. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's great. Gerlach's here. Michael Goodman with Capital Broadcasting Company. We are a 75-ish year-old family-owned company in the Triangle, Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We are a broadcasting company. If you cut us open, electrodes fall out. But we've developed kind of a nasty habit of community development projects, starting with the American Tobacco Project in downtown Durham. And now I've turned our focus to Rocky Mount Mills in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and everything y'all talk about rings true to Rocky Mount as well. So we're just happy to be here and listen and see what you have to say. And if I can get a few cheap shots in on Gerlach, I will be happy.
Yeah. He's already here.
I was late too. Mike Jacoby with the Appalachian Partnership for Economic Growth in Southeast Ohio, a 25-county region. I'm an economic development professional. The biggest topic in economic development right now is workforce development, which I hate to get involved with, but there's no choice. It's too big, it's too complicated. If I could accomplish one thing in our region, we have 1 out of 5 of our workers leaving our region every day to go to a major metro area to go to work. That's a 1 hour to 2 hour commute one way to go to work. So we've got people working, we've got people with a work ethic. They're just driving farther away. And Columbus is the fastest growing metro area in the Midwest. It's projected to add 600,000 people. And Ohio, meanwhile, is projected to add about 100,000 people. So small towns, rural areas in Ohio are just emptying out, going to the major metro. Yet they can't find workers in the major metro while we're sending 1 out of 5 workers from our region to the major metro. So what I'd like to see, low-hanging fruit, is a satellite strategy where growing companies just start setting up in small town and rural Ohio. That's all I want.
No big deal.
Good morning. My name is Joe Rollins. For about 15 years, I was a school administrator and then turned workforce development director in Springdale, Arkansas. Up until about last week, I was the founding principal and administrator of a school that we'll talk about tomorrow that addresses a lot of the things that we talked about. Issues that, as you're thinking about it, we worked a lot with legislation to try and work with the Department of Education for flexibility, for waivers, to address a lot of the things that we're talking about. And then a flexible learning model that allows many of the things that we've talked about. And then as of about 2 weeks ago, I was recruited and hired by a group in Northwest Arkansas called the Northwest Arkansas Council. And now my role is Workforce Development Director for the Northwest Arkansas region. So I kind of get to see it from both sides of the coin. And I look forward to talking with all of you.
Morning. I'm Tony Pippa. I'm a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution in Washington, D.C. So I'm originally a small-town boy from central Pennsylvania with a body of work in North Carolina, Louisiana, and Mississippi on inclusive economic development, who's now part of the coastal elite. So I'm here to listen, to learn, to understand what's working in your communities, as well as where the gaps might be, where we might be able to provide some thinking and some analysis. I'll also say I'm very interested in what's necessary to help philanthropic, public sector investment, and private investment all come together to help build the locally led sort of inclusive new economies that Carl was talking about. I'm also especially interested, something I'm not hearing a lot of right now, but I'm especially interested in the elements that come together for that cultural transformation as well.
Hello, my name is Tammy Ackerman, and
I'm the co-founder and current director of an organization called Engine, based in Biddeford, Maine, and my colleague over here already took the accent joke from me. I grew up in a small town in South Dakota, about 20,000, so I have a weird accent of kind of Midwest and Maine and who knows what. But anyway, Engine is an arts organization with the mission to connect and inspire our community through art, design, and education. So we're a little bit of an anomaly in this group of people, but we're really more than just, paintings on a wall and that kind of thing. We definitely believe in artists as integral parts of the community, but we also focus on the creative economy. So part of our mission used to include the word entrepreneurialism, but nobody could really say it, so we got rid of it. But we really focus on education as part of our mission, teaching STEAM, and I think the fellow over here talked about STEAM, and the first time I heard it mentioned in the room, but we focus on art and design education, and I'm a firm believer that companies need to think creatively like artists and like designers and bring design thinking into their culture to create a better, more well-rounded employee that can come up with creative solutions to problems that you're dealing with. As far as workforce challenges go, because I'm on the ground as a grassroots practitioner, our education component is where I really kind of feel what we can add to our community, teaching kids this resourcefulness that I talked about earlier. And we've been looking really hard at how we can place kids that come through our after school and camp programs into communities or into businesses in the community. And we just placed our first designer with a manufacturing company locally. So we've got one, but we'll keep working. So thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Hello, I'm Catherine Ferguson. I'm with the Aspen Institute's Community Strategies Group. We're based in Washington, D.C. and have a national purview. Many of you have probably worked with Janet Topolsky, our director over time, and I joined recently as the associate director for the group. So I'm here to learn from all of you and understand more what you're thinking about. Hopeful that we can help aggregate and bring best practices from this group to others across the country, and also share what we know from years of work with communities across the country. Many of the things that Tony Pippa with Brookings mentioned that he is thinking about, we are also thinking about, and so very much, again, interested in learning, listening. We spend time thinking a lot about community development, philanthropy, about family economic success, specifically two-generation or multiple generation ways of addressing poverty and opportunity, and then rural economic development with a real focus on inclusive economies that lift everyone together. So thanks.
Hi, everyone. I think we're getting close to the end. I don't know if you have the capacity to listen anymore, so I'm Barbara Dyer. And for the last 2 years, I've been on the faculty at the MIT Sloan School of Management to give shape to something called the Good Companies, Good Jobs Initiative, which is about making work in a 21st century setting. Big challenge is to really understand how work is changing, particularly in traditional industries that we rely on so heavily for employment among low and middle skilled individuals. So how is work changing? What in that changing environment constitutes a good job? And how do we make more good jobs in the 21st century? A lot of the problems that you're considering and working with are partly a reflection of our 20th century institutions not really connecting with the 21st century realities. Prior to joining MIT, I spent 18 years as president and CEO of a foundation that focused on these questions, and before that with the National Governors Association. So in my foundation career, John mentioned the National Fund for Workforce Solutions. I was one of the founders of that. In my years at the National Governors Association, I was one of the creators of the Policy Academy process that was a process to bring multiple stakeholders together. So I've seen it from all sides, and I'm really eager to be here to learn from all of you, which is really where the action is. So thank you for including me.
Good morning. I'm Ken Larking. I'm the city manager of Danville, so welcome. I'm very interested in a lot of things that were expressed today, the challenges that you've expressed, interested in learning more about how we tackle those things. In addition to what Carl mentioned earlier about lifting people out of poverty into some sort of economic opportunity, I'm interested in trying to make our community a more desirable place for people to live so that not only our young people will want to come back after they go off to college and find opportunity here, but also for others throughout wherever to come to our community and help us grow and get us back to some good sustainable economic prosperity. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Hoke, and if I look like the most diligent note taker, my role today is to be the recorder and note taker, so I'm working with Ted and his group on that, and we'll be writing up proceedings after the meeting. But the other role that I play, I'm director of the Consortium of University Public Service Organizations. There are a couple members here today, Anita Brown-Graham from the School of Government, Chuck Shootman from the Institute for Public Service at the University of Tennessee. This consortium is composed of centers and institutes at universities around the country that are serving as that bridge between academic work and practical, on-the-ground community work. So they are doing policy research on issues that include economic development, lots of different issues that our communities are facing. They're doing policy research. They're also doing a lot of facilitation and engagement work with communities. So they are very interested in workforce development issues and are working on the ground with communities around the country on that.
I think we got everyone. And I'll wrap up. I'm Sarah Casey. I'm Ted's chief data nerd. And I spent a lot of time looking at your communities, trying to help you look at the data to make better decisions. And a lot of that recently has been looking to see which occupations in particular are having the biggest workforce struggles and trying to address those issues.
Sarah, you've never introduced yourself that way before. Chief data nerd, so okay. Usually it has something to do with director of research, but okay, we'll deal with it.
Well, you always say we're data nerds, so.
I do, and we are, and so you got to be what you are, I suppose.